Editing started out as a hobby for me when I was in junior high, and I was that weird kid that would sneak to stay up until 3 a.m. editing the videos that my friends and I made for fun. Now I've been able to make a career out of staying up until 3 a.m. and editing videos for my clients. So let's talk about how to make money editing videos. By the way, working till 3 a.m. is not required. I have known my entire life that I wanted to work in the television world. I remember being like 3 years old and watching Barney and being like, not fascinated with the show itself, but like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, how do they make that? How do they create that? It's just, I was very lucky in the fact that I've always known what I wanted to do. Again, I was a weird kid. I'm a weird adult, but I was an especially weird kid who always had a camera in hand and was filming every single aspect of my life. I used to be on a synchronized skating team, and we would travel out of state and go to competitions, and I would bring my camera and I would film every single aspect, and then I would make a fun video at the end. It even got to the point where I was forcing the other skaters on my team to stay up until 3 a.m. So we could make like this crazy, weird superhero movie while we were in Chicago. It got a little out of hand. I was a little bit obsessed. But luckily, I've been able to take that passion and turn it into a career. And I want to talk a little bit about how you can do that too. Keep in mind, all of this was before YouTube was ever even created. There was no iPhone when I was doing this. So now you at least have the perks of having, a camera in your pocket at all times. But when I was a kid, people would tell me, oh, make sure you have a plan B or a fallback because getting into the television or the film industry is really hard. Do you know how you're gonna do that? And frankly, I had no idea. Of course, I was stubborn and I would always tell them, I'm not going to have a fallback option because I'm going to make this happen. I was determined, which was a big part of why I am where I am today. But luckily now there's a lot more options of where you can go to make money as an editor, so let's talk about them. You can make money as an editor for a big television show or for film. You can get a job working for the news. You could be a freelance editor. You could make wedding videos. You can edit people's YouTube videos, or you could even create your own YouTube videos and make money that way. I did a lot of freelancing and stuff while I was in college, but I definitely was looking to have like a 9-to-5 regular job after I graduated. And so I went and worked for a local news station, actually as a producer first. But I was able to worm my way into more of an editing position because that's what I was passionate about. I really love being able to take something that is nothing and turn it into something beautiful. I always like to joke that I've got this little tiny version of myself, a little teeny Alysha up there, like with the controls. And when I start editing, she just takes over and does everything for me. A lot of times I go into it, I have no idea what I'm going to create or what's going to happen. But by the time I get to the end, I'm like, wow, that was really cool. This looks amazing. Like, good job, tiny Alysha. I told you, I've always been weird. I loved my job at the news station. I really, really enjoyed what I did. But I found that there wasn't a whole lot of growth for me in that industry. I spoke to my boss one day and I said, okay, this is what I want to do. What's my path look like? Where do you think I can go from here? Because I felt a little bit stuck. I was looking around me and I thought to myself, I don't want to be here for 40 years. Although I love it, I'm not the type of personality that I'm like content just doing the same thing. I need to be able to grow and learn constantly. And he looked at me and said, you can do anything you put your mind to. And that was the worst possible answer you could ever give me. I was like, that is a cop-out answer. Give me something real, right? I need a path. And so ultimately I ended up leaving that job because I was just like, I'm gonna be stuck here. If you're the type of person who just wants stability, wants a steady paycheck, wants to know what they're doing every day, gets to be creative, is gonna learn, is gonna get better, then that might be the type of job for you. There was plenty of people that worked there that loved it, that loved what we did enough that they were like, I am going to make this into my career. So that's totally fine. That might be the path that you want to go. If you're looking to get a job like that, I would suggest reaching out, looking for internships. You want to get to know people. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. I know a lot of times editors can be introverts, right? You're somebody who likes to sit at your computer and just hunker down and get your job done. You're a creative, but you're not necessarily somebody who wants to go out of the way to start a conversation with a stranger. At least that's how I was for a long time. I eventually had to break through that. But the best thing you can do is just, go and meet people and get to know people. Truthfully, it really is not about what you know in the beginning, but about who you know. Once I jumped ship from the television station, I decided to do my own thing, which was exhilarating. It was also terrifying, and my dad did try to talk me out of it because he saw the instability of working as a freelancer. And yeah, it was scary, but it paid off big time. I learned a lot very quickly because I had to. Fake it till you make it definitely came into play a lot of the time. When I worked at the news station, I had a graphics department. I had seasoned people that I could rely on and go and say, I don't know how to do this. Can you show me? Can you help me? And when I was freelancing, I was on my own. I had to just figure it out. I did a lot of Googling. I watched a lot of YouTube videos to learn how to do things that I didn't already currently know how to do. And it was amazing because I learned so much so quickly. The biggest way to make it work if you want to be a freelancer is you have to look for opportunity and you have to put yourself out there. I was at a shoot one day and I heard these two people, they were talking about, oh, we're looking for an editor. We need an editor. Let's put some ads out there. We need to find somebody. And I was kind of in the back of the room. And again, I can be outgoing, but also can sometimes be in this mode where I become incredibly shy. And I was in this situation, I was kind of feeling like, oh no, I kept telling myself I should say something. I should just say something. Just say something. No, don't say something. This is not the appropriate time to say something. You're here for this other thing. Don't mention that you're an editor. And then finally, you hear a little squeak from the back of the room, hey, actually, I'm an editor. And then they hired me. And that opportunity led to so many other opportunities. It was crazy. And I think to myself all the time about how I could have just not said anything. And all of the opportunity and learning and people that I met through that relationship that never would have happened. I would definitely not be sitting here in this position today if I hadn't saw the opportunity and then went for it. So if you want to be a freelance editor, you definitely have to be willing to put yourself out there. There's that idea of the law of attraction. And what I love about that, right, whether you believe in that, the universe and those types of things or not, the truth behind it is that if you're looking for opportunity, you're going to see it. If you're like, oh, nothing ever comes to me, that's what you're going to see. But if you're looking for those opportunities, that was true for me. All of a sudden, all these doors were open because every time I was doing something, I was like, could this be an opportunity? To learn, to grow, to meet somebody, to make a connection. You have to be willing to do that and put yourself out there if you want to be successful as a freelancer. Ultimately, I turned that freelance into an actual business that I do with Ali, which has been really amazing. But that's sort of the path. I started out in that 9-to-5, did that whole thing. Stability is great, but I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of growth opportunity. I did the freelance thing. That was really fun. It was exciting. And ultimately it led me to, now I get a little mix of both, owning my own business. I have some freelancer area in there where we're constantly looking for new clients and new opportunity, but we do have a lot more stability. Let's talk a little bit about what it's like to work as an editor, right? I told you at the beginning of this that this started out as a hobby. I loved editing. I loved being creative. It was my favorite thing in the world. And I thought to myself, if I could have a job editing, then I will be living my dream. And although a lot of that is true, there are some things that you have to be aware of as well, right? When you're editing for somebody else, for somebody else's project, you don't necessarily always get to be as creative as you would like. I've been very lucky in a lot of the projects I've worked on. I have had a lot of creative control, but it doesn't always work like that. And you're not always going to get to work on creative projects. Some of the editing I've done in the past is really, really, really boring. So if you want to be an editor, make sure that it's something you're truly passionate about and you're okay doing it, whether it's something that you're really excited about or if it's something that you're like, well, I'm just doing this because it's paying the bills. You're going to probably have both types of projects, and you have to be willing to sometimes suck it up and do the boring stuff. The other thing is, a lot of time, creatives aren't the best at deadlines, right? But deadlines are really, really, really important. The more I work in this industry, on a higher level where I'm hiring people and bringing them in, I find that people really struggle with deadlines. And it is one of the most important parts of your job. Yes, you want to create something really beautiful and amazing, but you have to know when to stop. You can't cut something to death, right? Like, you have to be a decision maker. You have to be somebody who knows this project is finished and it looks beautiful and it is ready to go. I'm not going to sit here and tweak it any more minutes. And meeting deadlines also means sometimes you have to sit down and edit when you don't feel like it. There are a lot of times where I'm like, man, I don't have that creative juice flowing right now. I'm not in the mode where I feel like I'm going to do it. And you have to sit down and you just have to force yourself. And luckily, if it is something you're good at, if it's something you're passionate about, it only takes a few minutes for you to kind of jump back into that mode. But you might be sitting there editing something you're not that excited about, and you have to have it done by tomorrow. You can't put it off. If you're looking to get started as an editor, I am so excited for you to go on this journey. I have loved my career and all of the editing I've got to do, everything I've learned. And I'm really excited for you, and to see where you're gonna go from here. If you do decide that you wanna start your own YouTube channel and edit your own videos, we do have a free mini course in the description box below that goes through the top 10 things you need to know before you start a YouTube channel. So go ahead and make sure you get that. We are your video allies. You've got this. We've got your back. We can't wait to see what you create.